in court, right? And Helena is the first one to be called. He asks her the standard questions, tell me where you were born and brought up. And she would tell him little as possible. Because Henrik had heard about the other two, remember the cook and the knight, he knew this was a weak point in her reputation and he clawed at it. Are you of the good life? Are you of a good way of life? He began. And when she said she was, he asked her harshly and quickly, were you a virgin at the time of your marriage? She refused to answer. Immediately, the bishop's official stands up and is like, whoa, what the fuck? Where are you going with this? He had chose to be so crass. Everybody was like, hold up. He had shown how low he was personally willing to go, and Christian pounced. Sex lives of Innsbruck's leading citizens were, he said, secret matters and hardly concern of the case. Henrik kept going on, and Christian interrupted him, asking why Henrik had not produced written articles, charges to be investigated by the court in advance of the hearing, and in doing so, shouldn't he do so now? So in doing so, they had to go basically on a recess while Henrik goes and gathers evidence. And in doing so, they took Helena back to the cell, but she didn't go alone. Her was Johann Murat of Wemding, a town near Munich, 200 miles north. Johann was a university-trained specialist in church law. Suddenly, everything changed. Helena had an expensive expert advocate, and Henrik was in trouble. He explained how he would act in the capacity of legal representation for Helena and the other women in the detention. He challenged the choice of notary, citing a conflict between the Pope's letters authorizing Henrik to set up a court and illegal conventions by which notaries were appointed by the bishop. He joined Christian Turner in deriding Henrik's questions, arguing that he conducted the Inquisition regarding hidden sins, when he instead should have examined the women regarding articles of bad reputation, which he did not do because he had not yet drawn up articles of any kind. And Henrik just seized the women before he instituted the proceedings in the proper setup. Finally, unthinkably, Johann asked the Lord Commissary in the place of Lord Bishop of Brixen to take Lord Inquisitor into custody. Suddenly, it was Henrik who was going to jail. He rejoined with the rest of the ladies and told them not to answer any more questions because he was no longer their judge. This is all happening a couple of days before Halloween. It's now Monday. It is the last Monday of October. It is the evening before Halloween. Everybody is reconvened and given their thoughts, and the Christian concluded that this trial was instituted in violation of the legal system. Accordingly, the women in detention on account of this are being to be released. Duke had paid all of the women's prison bills and all the ladies had somebody bail them out because they weren't allowed to bail themselves out. Henrik himself couldn't accept the defeat. He stayed for a whole year afterwards, trying to wait for this trial to resume because he really thought that they were going to pick it back up and she was going to get, the fucking everything. The bishop was writing him hostile letters telling him, get the fuck out, bro. Nobody wants you here. Go, leave. It was a major win for Helena and the ladies of Austria, but while she had her victory, Henrik was writing the demonological. He was writing Malleus Maleficarum, a manual for future witch hunters. The book is a compendium of false logic, cruelty, and misogyny. Henrik presents women as becoming witches because they are like children, foolish and full of irregular desires and passions, and obsessed with filthy carnal acts. He uses Eve as a point to demonize, twisted, and contrary, so to speak, to men. Accordingly, women are lying in speech, bitter and dangerous to men, and governed by carnal lusting, which is insatiable to them, for they are tainted with heresy of sorcery. It is important to note that most of the Catholic Church scholars dismissed this book as unsound, but unfortunately, as we know, if you have heard anything about this book before and history of Heinrich Kramer and the Malleus Maleficarum, you know that it did go on to there were people that went on to weaponize and use it as a disgusting manual to absolutely obliterate and kill thousands of people.